Mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, it's morning. You're getting ready to go to work. You pull on your pants. You fasten and then zip, or zip and then fasten.
What kind of question is that?
Well, look, we got 2 hours to kill.
Forget it.
Just a question.
Why do you want to know?
Why do I want to know? Because I think of these things sometimes. I was getting dressed this morning. For a second, I couldn't remember which I did first. I started thinking about it. Does everybody do it the same way? Is it a left-handed, right-handed thing?
You think about this stuff a lot?
Yeah. Look, okay, I'm sorry I asked. You're always so serious all the time. Not every conversation has to be the end of the world as we know it.
I didn't mean to...
Never mind. It's okay. I'll just watch my console. Don't worry about it.
Fasten, then zip. You?
Fasten zip.
How much longer?
1 hour, 57 minutes. You want to talk socks?
No.
Just a question.
I'm not having this conversation.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
And this is
We Are All Kosh.
a Babylon 5 podcast. Hi, we're back. We're back. I know we took time off, unexpected time off. As some of you may have guessed, yes, we lost Pippin, and I just wasn't in a place where we could record or talk about anything at all for a while, and that's okay. I think it's important to give yourself space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know he was a cat, but anybody who's lost a pet knows this fucking sucks. It sucks. And anyway, thanks for sticking with us. Hopefully, the June from hell is maybe almost over. I mean, it's July, but I feel like June is still creeping in the background. I don't know. Because
At least it wasn't the June in hell.
yeah, it wasn't hot. It was not physically hot, but I feel like everything else was pretty shitty, to be honest. You know, it was just kind of sometimes you have a hard month, and June was a hard month. And I think you can tell because we were fucking all over the place. We still haven't done part 2 for Strange and Beautiful Book Club. We're 5 Murderbot episodes behind. I'm going to work on catching up this week. So if you've been looking at all of our streams, if you follow all of our podcasts and you're like, God, what is happening? Well, shit's happening.
June happened.
June happened. And now June's over. And so hopefully we can all move forward stronger, better, faster. However you want to put that.
We have the technology.
We can rebuild it. Yeah. And I apologize. I don't know what's going on with my voice. I don't have a cold. I don't have allergies. I also don't, you know how everybody else's thyroid is a butterfly-shaped organ at the base of your throat? Well, mine is a misshapen beanbag that's trying to kill me. So I'm guessing that's probably what's happening. Went through quite a stressful month, and sometimes this can happen because I do have, I have a very large mass there that sometimes presses on my vocal cords, which is why I sometimes get a variable voice. So what I really think would be fun is I can now read any J. Michael Straczynski quote like a disaffected Victorian child. Please, can I have some more?
You got that?
I got that, I have to go a little higher pitch to be able to get the
vocal
sound
fry.
out. Yeah, I can really do it. I was doing that to the cat the other day. Jail for mother. Jail for 1,000 years. Cat, not our other cat, Smokey, was like, whatever. Where'd Pippin go? Bring him back. I would also like him back, Smokey. He was only 10 years old. Yeah, I don't know. That was just really hard. I was not expecting to, I do the math. Every time we lose an animal, I'm like, well, I don't have to do this again for X number of years. And we just lost a cat a couple of years ago. However
Yeah,
many.
you keep overestimating.
Yeah, and then I'm like, well, it'll be fine. And then here we are. Anyway, so today we're going to talk about Season 1, Episode 20, Babylon Squared. And no lie, this is the episode that I talk about whenever I'm trying to sell people on Babylon 5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you don't understand. Babylon 5 is so fucking good. There's
They pulled this off.
They pulled this off. No, who else? Who else has ever done this where you have an episode in Season 1 and you are not going to know what the fuck is happening in this episode for literal seasons? And when they come back and they show you what is actually happening in the background of this episode, it's so fucking good and they absolutely stick the landing and it is so worth it. And who could have done that in 1994? In fact, this aired August 10th, 1994. Who else could have done that?
Right.
Who could have predicted, A, that they're going to be around long enough? This is really predicated on the idea that we're going to be here and that the trajectory of the story will stay so consistent that you'll be able to work the resolution to this episode in without having to bend over backwards or do anything crazy.
Right. Because it was all part of the plan from the beginning.
And we fuck every time they're like, wow, this show really feels planned. This is so revolutionary. I'm like, no, we've fucking done this, y'all. We've done this. This is the blueprint. And I don't know why literally no one else has built their building based on this blueprint. But it's fine. That's a well-worn path.
All right. So Season 1, Episode 20.
I hear you trying to get me back on track. So the writer is J. Michael Straczynski, no duh, because pretty much any episode where you're like, holy shit, what all just happened? It's probably J. Michael Straczynski. And hey, there it is. And it's directed by Jim Johnston, the same guy who directed Soul Hunter. You're not forgiven, but you're on probation. It's a little better. The story date for this, so the time period that this is actually happening, is July 12th through July 13th of 2258.
Okay.
So, next week. It's happening next week. Kent Broadhurst is the guy who plays Major Krantz. And I couldn't think of anything else. I couldn't see any, I just, in my mind, tried to picture him. No, I looked it up and I couldn't find anything else that he was in that I was like, oh, hell yeah. I know him from that. Mm-hmm. Except that he was the voice of someone in a 2006 graphic audio version of Dune. I didn't even know there was a graphic audio version. And surprise, he's in it. Oh, that was pretty cool. And Tim Choate? Choate? Choate. Tim is Zathras. And he actually died in 2004 at the age of 49.
Aw.
I know. Most notably, he was on a 21-episode run of The Bold and the Beautiful, which is a soap opera, as a character named Tommy Bayland. I was like, oh, good for him. And then obviously he died in 2004, so he hasn't done anything since then. But like, R.I.P. Zathras. He's one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
And I look forward to this episode specifically because I know he's going to be in it. And I love how mysterious the Zathras character is.
And
yet
no explanation.
Yet he is not like enigmatic or spiritual. I mean, he's enigmatic in that you don't know what the fuck is happening, but he's not like this spiritual guide that has appeared. He's the guy that shovels shit for the revolution and he knows it. And he's always in these episodes where he's like, I don't know. They just told me what to do. And like sometimes doing what you have to do, you die for it. But like it's worth it because I don't know. It's in my contract. It's my job. I don't know.
This is what I do.
I'm Zathras. And they're like, okay, well, what does that mean? He's like, I don't know. And you never know if it's the same Zathras or if it's different Zathras. Mm-hmm. And he's going to come back. And every time he comes back, he gets better. And then this is another episode where Lise Hampton, Denise Gentile as Lise Hampton, reprises her role because she comes back for that one flashback that we have. Mm-hmm. We have a couple flash forwards and then we have a couple flashbacks. one and then the other, actually. And she's in that. What did Sinclair see when they did the flashback? Because we saw what Garibaldi saw, but everyone did a flashback.
So there was the one flash, which we think is flash forward to Sinclair and Garibaldi in the same scene.
That's Sinclair.
But the next one, we don't know.
We don't know what he saw. We know what Garibaldi saw. That would be an interesting...
what did Krantz see?
It's just him. It's just him doing his taxes. Make it stop.
Him looking at his Pokemon cards.
That one time. That one time.
Flash forward. I finally got a rainbow Charizard.
If you're actually traveling in time, can you change the past, or are they just?
Okay. So I was thinking about this in the lease, Garibaldi's lease flashback. He said he doesn't remember what happened. But it ended with a slammed door and him leaving.
Yeah.
Was it future Garibaldi flashbacking that actually had that final conversation with Lise right before the door got slammed?
Right. And all he says is like, what's going on here? And she's like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm asking myself. But he's literally like, what's going on here?
Right.
And she interpreted it as, I want you to leave. What if it would have gone completely differently if he hadn't flashed back?
Right.
What if he would have said something different?
If he had not flashed back, would he have stayed on Mars with Lise?
Maybe.
And would this be a closed loop?
I don't know, Matthew. That's why you don't fuck with time.
This is all a closed loop of time for Garibaldi.
Yeah. That's why time paradoxes are... JMS said in like a contemporary interview that like he didn't want to mess with time. He was like, this is probably the one of just a few times in the whole series where we'll be traveling in time.
Yeah.
And I learned this. The voice of the computer is Haley McLean, who was a script supervisor and just provided the voice of the computer. So anytime you hear the computer in Babylon 5, that's script supervisor Haley McLean providing a voice.
Just out of convenience.
Yeah. And I went and poked around in some of the comments that JMS put on the forums that people have preserved for posterity. And he said he was really looking forward to doing Babylon Squared, because he'll finally get to show what happened in Babylon 4 without literally explaining anything.
Just a little taste.
And he said the end of this episode will cause more speculation and consternation and astonishment than anything you've seen on TV in a long, very long time. And I would argue that I have definitely had more consternation with other television shows.
Yeah.
But the payoff is what is so worth it. So if this is your first time through and you're watching this and you're like, what did I just watch? Oh boy. Oh, are you in it? It's going to be so good.
So good.
I wish this is one of the ones I wish I could go back and watch the first time again. Okay. And also the suit that they used for the one. Everyone was like, hey, that kind of looks like the suit from 2001: A Space Odyssey, because it straight does. And I love his explanation, because he was like, well, it wasn't an intentional 2001 nod, but we went to Modern Props to get a spacesuit. So they went to the props department and were like, hey, can we have a spacesuit? And they're like, we've only got this one from 2010, the year we made Contact, which is the sequel to 2001, if you want it. And so they took it and they tried to make some changes, but at the end of the day, it literally is a suit from 2010. And they're like, but it wasn't intentional. It's just that, I mean, that's what the prop department had available. So here we are.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And at the very end of the one flash forward, Garibaldi has that big gun and he's like, who wants some? Whatever. He's like, hey. Yeah. Apparently he was just supposed to scream. He was supposed to make like a primal yell or whatever. And Jerry Doyle elected to ad lib words.
Okay.
And say those. And he's effectively quoting Aliens. And JMS was like, that was not intentional. He knows he's not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
And had I been there, I would have given him something else to say that didn't sound like Aliens. But like, I didn't write that. And he had this big long rant that was like, they know they're not supposed to do that. They know they're not supposed to ad-lib anything. He said sometimes for reasons of like filming or whatever, we might change things on the set, but it all has to be approved by me.
Right.
And I wasn't there and I didn't approve it. And I am JMS and I do not approve of this message. He said he doesn't like to put in any kind of allusions to anything else or homages. He likes to keep it very much just his property,
Right.
which I respect. And apparently Garibaldi's eyes glow in one frame in the flash forward scene. I didn't catch it. I watched this episode twice and I didn't see it. And I wonder if we've fixed it. If we fixed it since then. But apparently the like EFX guy was waiting for the little PBG flashes to render in the flash forward scene. And while he was waiting for that to work itself out, he like colored in Garibaldi's eyes.
Just for fun.
Just for fun, and thought he had not saved it, but he did. And he goes, unknowingly he had. Because when the scene finished rendering, he got out believing he had not saved that one frame. Unknowingly he had. Nobody caught it until after broadcast. Yes, we talked. Don't fucking mess with my shit. And I also wanted to note that if you watched this on Amazon Prime, I don't know if it's just my Prime or what, but the last 5 minutes of this episode were cut off.
Oh, and we didn't watch it. I didn't see it.
You've seen it. Once I talk about the scene, you'll be like, okay. So that was weird. So I went on Tubi because it's also on Tubi. And I was like, is it an error? Like, is it an upload error? Like in Forever Night, and Forever Night is effectively an abandoned property. A lot of times the episodes will be shown out of order or they'll be missing chunks or whatever. And the episode titles will be misspelled and no one fixes it. So I'm like, is that what happened? And no, on Tubi it was fine.
Huh.
So it's just Amazon Prime that's cut the end off. And I was like, well, maybe it's like what they did with Robin Hood. Remember when they took the Robin Hood and they took the text off the front? I was like, did they talk about tyranny and fascism and all that stuff? No, it's not. It's a very benign scene. It's where Garibaldi and Sinclair have left Babylon 4 and they're flying back. And they have that moment where Sinclair's like, I mean, even if they did steal it to be a base of operations in a war, the entire purpose of that station was to bring peace. So at least it's still doing its mission. And then we cut to Delenn getting back on her ship.
Okay.
And one of the Grey Council tracks her down in the hallway and is like, I look forward to seeing you back here. And she's like, don't fucking bullshit me. You know and I know, we both know I'm never coming back here. This is it. And he gives her the Triluminary.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the final piece.
Of her her house of cards that she's been building, sort of, this entire time. And he's like, here, I have a feeling you're going to need this, and gives it to her. And she's like, oh, aren't you going to miss it? And he's like, there's 2 more. It's going to be a while before they it's fine. And there's also a scene where Sinclair and Ivanova have a moment of wrap up where she's like, wow, I got to see all that from far away, but it's like, it fucking sucks I wasn't there with you. Next time, I get to go and Garibaldi gets to stay home.
Oh, is that what she says? Next
time, I'm going to go and Garibaldi gets to stay home. Whoop, whoop. Go ahead and put a pin in that one. And she asks about the Flying Dutchman, which he references earlier. She's like, oh, I caught that, but I don't know what that is. And he's like, oh, it's the ship that disappeared and it reappears every 100 years or so.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, did it ever get to go home? And he goes, no. And that's the end of the episode. So all you miss is her getting the Triluminary and then them having that moment of wrap up. And that's it. But I don't know why it's cut off. It just is. It's like he says his final line on the ship and then it's like the credits.
Yeah.
And it's a weird cut. It's like jarringly done. Anyway, FYI, if you watched it on Prime, you may have missed some of it. But we start with this is fun. You can tell JMS wrote this episode. I feel like at this point, I could probably tell you when JMS writes an episode because he works in these little character moments.
Oh, yeah, like with Garibaldi. And
like at the very beginning, Garibaldi and Sinclair are
Zipper
eating.
Fasten question.
Yes, the Fasten versus Zip, obviously. One of the best scenes in the entire television show, period. But no, the moment when they're eating breakfast. And because this is how we open. is they're eating breakfast, and Ivanova comes in and they're like, good morning. And she's tired because she got woken up early because there's some weird kind of tachyon thing happening. And they woke her up to check it out because, again, there's only 3 people that actually work on Babylon 5.
Right.
No one else has the authority to make any decisions. And I do like that even the food is character consistent because Ivanova has like a bowl of fruit. She has like a parfait kind of thing. Sinclair has oatmeal with fruit in it of some kind.
Yep.
Garibaldi has waffles with whipped cream on top of them.
He's got like a stack.
He's got a stack of waffles with whipped cream.
Yeah.
Which fits. Everybody's food even fits them. But literally Ivanova walks in and they're like, wow, nothing personal, but you look like hell. And she's like, yeah, no, I know. They woke me up early. There's this tachyon shit happening. It's a whole thing. I sent Alpha 7 to go check it out just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Never be the single. It's like the red shirt. It's like the Babylon 5 version of the red shirt.
Yeah.
If you are the one pilot they send to go check it out, you are about to prove the situation is serious.
The buddy system.
And
Come on.
I know. Send 2, and then one can report on how the other one died.
Yeah, at least one stays back. Just out of range.
Yeah. He's like, well, that's a pretty long haul. It's only 3 hours. It kind of reminds me, I was getting gas the other day, and for some reason, because Americans are the most advertised to people in the world, when I get gas, there's a little video that plays advertisements at me, and I fucking hate it. But this one was race car drivers talking about the longest they've ever driven.
Mm-hmm.
And the one guy was like, yeah, one time I drove 10 hours straight through. Bitch, I did that 2 weeks ago. Okay. Ooh, I've driven 16 hours straight through, 18 hours, 19 hours straight through.
Mm-hmm.
America's a big country. Sometimes you got to get somewhere and you just got to drive it out. Well, I guess 3 hours is a long haul in normal space, is what they say. Like, that's a long way away without a jump gate. And she's like, yeah, he should be there soon, which means poor Ivanova's been up for 3 hours already.
Mm-hmm.
Almost. And she's like, I hate mornings. And Sinclair goes, personally, I love them. And Garibaldi's like, ooh, me too. And Ivanova goes, yeah, okay, well, it's my cross to bear. And this is my favorite part. And it kind of makes me sad knowing what happens to Michael O'Hare, because he goes through all of this. He's in this great seminal television show, and by the end of his life, he was in like a halfway house.
Mm-hmm.
And he died alone in the hospital. And it's just really sad because this part is so sweet. He's like, I really learned to appreciate mornings when I was being taught by the Jesuits. We used to get up every sunrise for mass.
Okay, well, before we cover his meditative
Breathing in,
thing,
breathing out.
Garibaldi had the empty plates ready.
Yeah, he did.
So they know Ivanova well enough that she's been up. She's exhausted.
Yeah.
And they're planning to lull her to sleep
Yes.
during breakfast. Or does Garibaldi always have a prank up his sleeve? Does he have actually 2 pranks prepared right now?
Yeah. Like you have dad jokes just at the ready.
Yeah, and he's just always spent like 15, 20 minutes preparing. He's like, there's a 30% chance here that I can pull off an amazing prank. I'm gonna
shoot my shot.
Keep these things with me. And he like, okay, Sinclair, we got a 25% chance. Okay, here's what I imagine happening. She's been up early already. We know how she is in the mornings. I'm gonna have some empty plates, and we're gonna
fuck with her.
Yeah, we're just gonna mess with her.
Yeah.
And I'm ready. I just need you to cooperate.
Well, Ivanova's morning aversion to mornings is well established. We've talked about it several times.
It's not the falling asleep, it's the getting up.
But yeah, I hate it. I hate getting up when the sun is not up, when it's dark outside. Okay, well, it's always dark in space. Yeah, no, I know.
Mm-hmm.
And I very much doubt that there were unusual tachyon emissions that were worth sending a fighter to go check out, and the commander of Babylon 5 didn't get woken up to at least be notified that it was happening.
Oh, yeah. Garibaldi and Sinclair would both know about the weird signal.
So they know Ivanova's been up early. So it was
Right.
probably like hey, let's do this. If she comes in and we can get her to go to sleep, we can really mess with her. So yes, I think it was at the ready. If it had not happened, I think they would have just called it, but it works. So
How about this? They were sitting there and there was somebody next to them that just left their plates. And Garibaldi was like, I'm going to keep these empty plates.
Just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah. Well, it works out.
So he didn't even plan it before they sat down.
It was expediency of the moment.
He saw the empty plates, thought, I have an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, and Sinclair goes with it because Sinclair is the one who points at the plates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he's the one who lulls Ivanova to sleep because he's like,
right. And he's got the vibe for it.
He's like, we would sit. His voice is so phenomenal. I can't even with his voice. I want this man to have read audiobooks. I would listen to every single one of them.
Yeah.
It is so, he's like, we would sit quiet, at peace, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. He's like leaning closer and closer to her and talking softer and softer.
We used to get up at 5 o'clock every morning for sunrise mass, then an hour of meditation before class. We would sit, quiet, at peace, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out.
And then they quick switch all the plates. He points. He's like, quick, give me the plate. And they switch out the plates. And then they're like, well,
right. And then
that was great.
Slam on the table.
Boy, that hit the spot. And he goes, oh, I see you cleaned your plate too. And poor Ivanova's like, what? What happened? Did I sleep through breakfast?
Poor Ivanova.
Poor Ivanova. He's like, yeah, it's nearly 7:30. She's like, 7:30. Oh my God. And so she pulls out her link and she's like, I'm so late. I'm so sorry, you guys. And Sinclair dips. He's like, this is on you. It's your funeral is what he says. I'll notify your next of kin.
Yeah.
And then Garibaldi just goes 4, 3, 2, 1. And we hear, Garibaldi, you're a dead man. I mean, he's got to be that guy that it's fun, but also as sometimes you're like, I would not like to be fucked with. I've had a really hard morning. This is a good moment. It's fine. This isn't one of those moments where you're like, not the moment to joke, Garibaldi. This is a good moment. He does, for the most part, his character does a very good job of knowing
tasteful. Yeah.
when it's appropriate and when it's not appropriate.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the stakes become life or death, he drops it.
Yep.
And he's all business.
Right.
Because we then cut to Alpha 7, who has gotten close to the target, which is where the tachyon emissions are happening. And this is when he sees something. There's a bright light, and he's like, I can't quite make it out. I don't, that's not possible. That can't be. And then, no, that's it. Wrong. I gotta reset.
My God, it's full of stars.
Stop.
Famous last words.
And then he turned into a space baby. Flew all the way back to Babylon 5. Anyway, then we cut to the intro.
Who knows what he experienced? He may have had a whole bunch of flashes forward.
Something happened in this man's life.
Every scene, he gets a little older.
Something happened in this. Yes. Yeah, you're correct. And, he saw himself laying in the bed, and then he was the guy laying in the bed. Like, it's the only part of 2001 Space Odyssey I like, is that last 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, not the 45-minute drug trip where it's just high screeching sounds and weird oil moving across the screen.
Right, which was not in the book.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fuck's happening. So something happened because instead of writing down, hey guys, I saw Babylon 4, or taking a picture, hey computer,
or a voice recording,
or he literally scratches B4 into his safety
Before
house.
what?
What did he scratch with to get it? That is like deep.
He had a metal engraver.
He pulled it out of his pocket. That's what he does for the 3 hours he was like sculpting. He was scrimshawing.
Mm-hmm.
He was carving into something for, 3 hours. So he just happened to have his metal engraving tools available when he had a whole ass computer right there that he could have just been. That took time. That was not like I quickly have scratched B4 on my security harness. That was like a quarter of an inch into what should be
like steel. Yeah.
What an interesting choice to be like, not have like, this is his last recording. Boop, boop. I think I see Babylon 4. Maybe this was a
miscommunication with the props guy. And they're like, hey, props team, we need something that would be in the ship, like scratched.
Yeah.
To communicate that he saw Babylon 4.
What would it be? How about the security harness? He can't actually see because it's buckled across his chest.
Right.
The other option is it's buckled over his crotch, and he pressed so hard against his crotch he was able to dig it that deep. There's no world where this is the way that he would have communicated that he saw Babylon 4.
It probably would have been like in the window.
Yeah.
Or...
And the ship is fine. There's nothing wrong with the ship. The only thing that happens
is working properly.
Is this guy dies of old age. Everything else is working properly, which means his computer, which should have had like a dash cam, like the future version of a dash cam, should have very clearly shown Babylon 4. And he could have just, he had enough wherewithal to program the Star Fury to return to Babylon 5. Mm-hmm. He couldn't have had it transmit its final image.
So at the moment when he was getting rapidly aged, the comms were getting interrupted. Whatever other...
Yeah, but he could have just set it to broadcast to whoever received it.
Right, he should have been able to record locally,
yeah,
even if he couldn't broadcast it.
Right.
But we've also remarked on the fact that the use of like small embedded cameras is
just not a
pretty
thing.
Much non-existent.
Yeah.
In Babylon 5. And that may have been a limitation of the like concepts of how the technology
would work or could work.
Would exist at the time.
Yeah.
Because in the prequel movie, we have the flying drone thing.
Maybe he was stuck in a loop where he was just going back like 2 minutes and then forward 2 minutes for 90 years. And that's how he had time to carve
maybe
B4 because he kept going back.
The worst form of Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What matters is that don't make no sense. It's fine. We come back to Ivanova being like, hey, Alpha 7, hey. Give me a hands up if you hear me, buddy. You out there? And they're
no
like,
response.
They're like, nothing. It's on its way back. The Star Fury is coming back, but he's not saying anything. And they're like, I'm sure that's fine. He'll be back in an hour.
His comms
minutes.
must have gotten knocked out.
Yeah, he says maybe the communication was fried, whatever. Are there any more tachyon emissions? And they're like, yeah, we had another burst right before we lost contact, but I mean, and they're like, okay, well, tell Dr. Franklin to stand by in case of injury. You know how he feels about that. Can I say that was one of the funniest parts of our last episode? I do re-listen to parts of them. Or I listen when I edit, and then I listen to the final thing for like quality control. Mm-hmm. And us ragging on Dr. Franklin I cracked up again. So even if nobody else finds it funny, I found you funny, honey. And this is the exact moment where we introduce our B plot, which is Delenn. Delenn getting mansplained by the council. Honestly. And I think we're just going to cover that whole thing right here and right now, so we don't have to keep coming back and forth. Because what happens is Alpha 7 is on its way back. Oh no, what could happen? And then they're like, meanwhile, Delenn is leaving. And so she's taking her little Minbari fighter shuttle
single occupancy
away
vehicle.
And she's like, Minbari flyer unit, you're clear to jump, whatever. And so she leaves and they're like, you sure you don't want to pilot? And she goes, quite sure. Some things one must do alone. And they're like, oh, that's
Buddy
Delenn.
System.
It's really Delenn, because only Delenn would be that dramatic. Do you want a friend? No, sometimes one must walk alone. And I love that, this is the most impractical looking harness I've ever seen in my entire life. Mm-hmm. It's like a seatbelt, but somebody put like a fabric cover over it. It reminds me of those things people were selling for a while that you could put over your seatbelt that had like a pillow attached to it so you could sleep laying your head on it. And she has, I think, like 4 buttons. And she just reaches over and goes,
button every time.
Boop, boop. And then talks. And then boop, boop. And they're like, do you need a pilot? What would the pilot do? The pilot would have to reach over to Len to push the buttons because it's the only place there are buttons. And they look like little acrylic squares that have just been glued on this light panel.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, they're a telepathic link.
You just touch it and...
You touch it and think about what you want it to do.
Or you touch it and it's like when you do voice to text on your phone or whatever. Or like on the TV remote that has the microphone built in.
Right. Go forward.
Search for this thing.
Go forward, go back.
Yeah.
Because, it's not
commands.
a fighter or anything. It's just like a get here to there.
Mm-hmm.
Like a motorcycle. It's a smart car. It's like just it's a vehicle. So she goes through the jump gate, goes to some random location. And she's like, well, let me know when there's a beacon. And then she meditates for a while. And then a Minbari fighter shows up. And
cruiser?
Cruiser, whatever. Big old cruise ship. They have
the big one.
They have like the little ships, and then they have the ones that look like sharks.
The big angelfish one?
Yeah, they kind of look like an angelfish or a shark. They look
with the long tendrils underneath.
Yeah. And she's like, cool. So she lands, and then she's walking through the hallway with some people with these really cool looking lamps. I love how...
So this is where the Grey Council is.
Yeah.
So is this canonically the same Minbari cruiser that tractor beamed Sinclair?
Yeah.
Since it's...
Yeah.
I was thinking
because it's some of the same council members.
The members of the members of the Grey Council.
Yeah, they're the same. Like they're the same actors and everything.
In this conversation with her, they discuss like, yeah, you won't ever have to leave here anymore.
Right. Because
you spend like is it all this dark room? Do they have quarters?
They do. They do. And we see it. There's another time where we see more of the ship.
And so we decided that yes, the members of the Grey Council can leave periodically for specific purposes or like personal time or whatever.
Yeah.
But otherwise they 24/7 they live in this ship.
Yeah.
Are they all actually here? Or are there multiple, like there's 9 or 10 members of the Grey Council?
9. All multiples of 3. Always multiples of 3.
I thought they said something about 10.
Too long we've been 8. Now we will be 9.
Okay, because I thought one of them was the leader, and then there were 9.
No, there's 9 on the council, and then there is a leader who's separate.
Okay.
Not considered part of the council.
And they're trying to promote Delenn to the leader that's not on the Grey Council?
Right, and then they'll have to bring... Then they're like, then we will, we'll meditate about who we're going to bring in to replace you. Because once you become leader, we need to backfill your position.
So I was thinking just for like security.
Yeah. No, they're all on there.
You don't want all your eggs in one basket.
They do.
But the Minbari do.
They put them all in the basket.
I was thinking maybe there's like 9 identical Minbari cruisers that each have one, and then they're all doing like really high quality telepresence.
They're having a Zoom meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
the metaverse.
I really want to explain to you all about this. But to reveal that, we would have to be further along in the series because we come back and we see more about like their daily lives and the way it works. When we find out more about Dukat and what happened to Dukat. And we're not there yet. We do mention Dukat. We also mentioned Valen, who I'm not sure we've mentioned before. I think maybe in Valen's name, like in passing, we've said Valen's name, but this is the first time that we've mentioned Valen in terms of like what role he might fit in the overall mythology of the Minbar. I need you to not. I'm gonna have to beep that shit out.
No, it's in the audio right there.
Yeah. No, I heard that part. Yeah. And I gotta cut all that out. Wow. You led me right into it too. But she says when she first comes into the room, because they go into the big room, which we've seen this room. We've seen this room in the flashback.
In Sinclair's
flashback. And we've seen some of these people in Sinclair's flashback. And we've seen the little staff with the triluminary on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen it light up.
Yep.
And we don't really know what are they doing? Oh, no, sir. What does the little triluminary do?
What that triangle do?
What that doing? We don't know. Oh, we don't know. We know. But you don't know yet. So shh. Anyway, she's like, hey, you called. So, hey, I'm here. Summoned I come is what she says. She goes, in Valen's name, I take the place that has been prepared for me. And that's the first time she mentions Valen. And then later they're like, Valen and the 9 who were. So Valen is the one who established the Grey Council and who is credited with uniting the Minbari people, creating the council system where there's 3 from each of the 3 castes on the council. And she says the whole gray thing, which I'm not sure we've said before, where she's like, I am gray. I stand between the candle and the star. We are gray.
In Valen's name, I take the place that has been prepared for me. I'm gray. I stand between the candle and the star. We are gray. We stand between the darkness and the light.
And she does the whole litany, which is so cool. Yeah. I love the Grey Council thing, that we stand between the candle and the star. Like, we are the middle ground. We are neutral. They're the ruling body. Like, they're the people that make decisions for the Minbari.
Mm-hmm. But not just the Minbari.
I think
it's also their role in the galaxy.
Right. They determine everything. They're the
Watchers.
There's like the wise council, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't had a leader for 10 years because they've been in mourning for Dukat. But
10 cycles?
10 cycles. Yeah, we got another data point on cycles. So surprise, surprise. They now mean years.
So when the Minbari say cycles, they mean years. But when the dojo mixed martial arts guy says cycles.
Could be days, could be hours.
Even then, it could be hours or days.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We've used it so many times for so many different things, it's become meaningless. So let that be a note for anyone who's writing a sci-fi.
10 units of time have passed.
Just don't use cycles. Don't, unless you're like day cycles, year cycles, whatever, planetary cycles, unless you qualify them. But I think the most important part here, honestly, is, does Delenn get naked in the hallway? Because they walk up to her and they're like, here's your robe, ma'am. And she just starts unbuckling and then we cut away. Or do they have some sort of undergarment that they always wear? Like in Superman and Man of Steel when they're on Krypton and they have the underwear.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know.
Maybe this particular Minbari cruiser has 9, maybe 10 separate docks and hallways into the
the Grey Council have your
chamber.
Own wing.
So it's not like she's just in the general purpose hallway. She's in the hallway specifically for her position on the Grey Council.
Yeah. Well, they're like, hey, so it's been a while. It's been 10 years, 10 cycles, which may be 10 hours. We don't know. It's been a while since Dukat was killed. And we've decided that we need a new leader. And so we chatted about it and we came to a decision. And she's like, I'm sorry. What? I am also on the council. Why was I not included? And they're like, well, I mean,
you were off on personal business.
I
guess it's not personal business.
No,
it's her
business.
mission.
Yeah. He's like, no, but we figured it was best in light of our decision to not tell you about it because we totally decided
even
that,
if you voted no, we would have overridden you.
Yeah.
We had all the votes. So
you're our new leader, Delenn. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yay! Aren't you so happy?
Yay! And her little huff, she goes, looks up at the sky like, oh, God.
You never have to go back to Babylon 5.
I know. They're like, aren't you glad your suffering is over? You never need to live among the humans again. And she's like, okay, I'm pretty sure you should have asked me before you decided to do this. They're like, you've traveled farthest. You've interacted with the most different. We live here. We don't go anywhere. It kind of reminds me of, remember that Poul Anderson book, The Boat of a Million Years?
Yeah.
By the end of it, they're traveling a million years off to find this alien.
Interstellar
travel to find this alien, whatever, that they can do because they're immortal or whatever. And so it's like the Real Housewives of immortality, because they're all fucking each other, but nobody actually likes each other. But maybe some of them like each other sometimes, but it's just all this weird. I quit reading the book. I've never finished the book because I get to that part and I'm like, I can't.
I remember reading that, I think in high school, and I got like 2/3 or 3/4 of the way through it. And then I suggested it for you, and you're like, oh yeah, I really liked it up until the part where they get on the spaceship for like the last quarter of the book.
Yeah.
And I think I got to the beginning of the spaceship part, and that's as far as I ever got in the book. And I was like, this is kind of boring.
Yeah, it is. Well, the first part's really fun because it's immortality, and how are these immortals moving through the world when, nobody believes they're immortal. And there's like one guy that's so old, he doesn't even know how old he is. And it's very cool. And I liked all the discussion and I liked what was happening. And then the one guy is like, what if it's just medical? And he goes and contacts a doctor. And then the next chapter is like 2,000 years in the future and everyone's immortal.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And then they find this thing, this signal, intergalactic signal. I'm totally spoiling this book. No one's reading it. It's fine. It's out of print. Good luck finding it. And he's like, oh yeah, that would be new. Leaving the planet and finding these aliens, that would be new. And so he gets the original group back together, the band back together.
Right.
And they get on this ship.
Right, because he had gathered them up while he was starting up the genetics research.
Yeah.
To isolate what is it.
Oh, no, we didn't cover any of that. He literally just shows up and he's like, hey, I'm immortal. And the guy's like, say less. And then they're all immortal. And then we all get on the ship and it's so boring. Everything that was fun and interesting up until then, it's just one guy being like, how come nobody actually likes me? They just like having sex with me.
Yeah.
You are like 4,000 years old and you're still a child? Honestly? Seriously? This is how anyway. I don't know how we got there. Oh, that's what I imagined the Grey Council.
Yeah, they're so isolated.
They're so isolated. They're just you want to talk about an echo chamber. They're literally just an echo chamber. And they're like, but you go out, you hear what other people are saying. They could also leave and go see what other people are saying, but it's fine.
It should be like this ruling structure has been around for a while. They should have patterns for how to like
stay in touch,
keep the rulers in touch with what the society is like at this point.
I mean, surprise, every Mambari that we've met so far has been like, things are changing. And the council's like, hey, so everything's great and fine. But
I am not personally impacted by anything that's going on.
And we know you didn't ask for it, but we went ahead and elected you leader.
Yeah.
There could be no other choice.
You.
Yeah. And she's like, oh no, my calling is to serve, not to lead. Like, I work on Babylon 5. And they're like, no, you don't. Not anymore. She's like, I'm sorry, but there was a prophecy, which is the first time we've heard of a prophecy. So you can write that down. Write that down. Write that down.
Prophecy.
The prophecy.
Capital T, capital P.
The prophecy. And they're like, prophecy will attend to itself. She's like, I don't really know that that's how prophecy works all the time. I think prophecy could be like an active sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, just throwing that out there. And they're like, oh, no, it's okay. We're going to pray and select somebody to take your place. Like, they are just not listening to her, literally at all. And they're like, you've carried this burden long enough. I know it's going to be a great relief knowing that you never have to return to Babylon 5. And her look when they say that, she does this look where she just looks up at the light, and every woman has done this look. I have done this look. I probably did this look twice this week where it's like, I'm speaking, but you're not listening to what I'm saying. You aren't hearing me. You're waiting for your turn to speak, but you're not hearing me. Because I'm trying to tell you that that's not me. I'm not going to do it. And they're like, no, it's okay. It's a great honor. Aren't you glad? And then we cut to her hanging out with the one guy with the stick. So he must be the like speaker or whatever. He's not credited. He doesn't have a name.
Oh,
we don't
really?
even know who. He requested that he not be credited.
Oh, he did. Interesting.
Yeah. And JMS was like, I mean, it was his decision. He's in it so little, it wouldn't really help his portfolio anyway. And he wanted himself to remain mysterious. He wanted to be a mysterious figure. So he's just the guy with the stick. And he finds her walking through a dark hallway with alternating lights. And honestly, it looks like they just walked around the circle of the previously constructed set.
Yeah.
And just was walking through all the spotlights, because the spotlight thing is cool because you can't see anything that's happening behind the actors.
Right.
So setting this up would have been big. And then to set it up again, just to have somebody walk through it once, is dumb. So she's probably just walking in a circle and walking
Same
through the
set,
lights again.
just different camera arrangement.
Yeah, so it looks like she's walking down a hallway, but she's really just making the loop.
Yep.
And he's like, they're waiting for you in the hall. And she's like, I know. And they're like, they can't begin without you. They need you to go. You're the leader now. And she's like, once I walk in that place, I'm never coming back out again. And he's like, I know. Isn't that great? She's like, I'm going to live out my life there. My days and my nights, everything will be spent there. And he's like, yeah, yes, correct. It's a great honor. And she literally goes, fuck your honor. Fuck your honor. Fuck it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. You
Just
didn't ask. You didn't even ask
Right.
if I wanted to do it. You just gave it to
Right.
me and I don't want it. In their minds, they were doing exactly what they would have wanted to have done to them.
Right.
To be just given power. It feels so male. It's really funny. I know that's not what they're going for, but the like, you're welcome. I did it for you. You're welcome. Like, yeah, but I never asked you to do it. And it really just feels like you're hijacking my life. Because I
Right,
told you
like-
what I wanted to do.
And another interpretation here is they don't like the way she's acting.
Oh, they want to contain her.
And right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So by elevating her, they put her
Cage
in a
her.
cage.
Yeah,
And then they can monitor her and control her.
right. And then everything that she does
And-
wrong, or everything they do wrong, is not her fault.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they remove this like powerful voice of dissent in Minbari society, and Delenn doesn't get to do what she feels like she needs to do anymore.
Right. Yeah, maybe they don't want the prophecy to fulfill itself.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what the prophecy is yet, but when we find that out, which we will, that will be a lot of food for discussion because it is not a popular thing. The concept is something worth discussing because it's framed as a gift. But to whom? It's a thing that's happening. I don't want to go too far deep into it, but it's not popular with everybody. So it kind of
Okay.
feels like maybe if we maneuver her into a position where she cannot fulfill her role in the prophecy,
Right.
we can stop this prophecy from happening, but phrase it as a gift.
Right.
And she's a woman. She'll be grateful for anything she gets. So it's going to be fine. And the guy's like, hey, so in 1,000 years, no one has said no. And she's like, okay, so there's a first time for everything, is what you're saying. I guess it's time for it to happen. I know my calling. I know what I want to do. And yeah, I don't really think you can sway me for that. And he's like, are you sure? Like, this is what you want to have happen? And she's like, yeah, I do. I'm sure. I'm positive.
You know, this is
Thanks.
going to ruin your career.
Have you thought about your career, Delenn? And she's like, I think I'm fine. I really think I'm fine. And he goes, well, I mean, this is not the worst time for it to happen, and it's not the best time for it to happen. So I guess it's happening. It's just the time for it to be happening. And he goes, they're going to tell you that this is the voice of ego and pride.
You know what this reminds me of? When the talk show, I forget what talk show it was, a talk show had Rage Against the Machine on as the musical guest.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, guys, like, don't play this song and don't swear because it's live.
Yeah.
And they ended up singing, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Oh, Delenn's theme song?
It feels like that, like what they're trying to do with Delenn. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you're going to do this. And she's like, fuck you, I don't do what you tell me.
Right. They were hoping to cage her, and she was like, not this bitch. And just, yeah.
You really don't know who you're dealing with.
He literally fires back with, they're going to say you're being hysterical. They're going to say it's ego and pride. And she's like, I mean, maybe. But maybe I don't give a shit. So they reconvene the council. She says, reconvene the council. I'm going to speak to them. And they're all like, this hasn't been done. This hasn't been done. You can't do this. And she's like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it right now. Look at me doing it. Look how good I am at doing this and not doing what you tell me to do. And he's like, are you aware there's going to be consequences? And she's like, I mean, obviously.
Every choice has consequences.
Yes, I know that. Yes. Yes, correct. I know that last week I took my mentor and installed him in a giant machine in the middle of a planet. Listen, I've gotten around, okay? There's bigger things out here than this.
I wonder if he was up for consideration for the head of the council, head of the Minbari government, whatever. Yeah.
Maybe. But he seems like
maybe they did the same thing to him and he was like, fuck you, I don't do what you tell me. I'm going out to the sea.
I think they chose him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. He was just like the gay philosopher best friend. He was like the whatever. I think it's really interesting, this whole part, because we know she's on the Grey Council. This is the first time we have actually seen her interacting with the Grey Council as Satai Delenn. And it's the moment where she's like, okay, but I think this is bigger than us, and I'm not going to accept that position that you're trying to give me because it's going to cage me.
Right.
And I need not power, but freedom. And I need the freedom to be able to follow my calling and to follow what I think I need to be doing. And ultimately, it is the right choice. It will be the right choice. But this is an interesting way to frame what feels benevolent, but will later, or from a certain interpretation, ends up being manipulative.
Yeah.
Where she is a woman with a lot of power. She is a woman with a lot of insight. She is a archetypal female character who is very good at listening to her own inner voice.
Right, like the oracle.
Which is typically undervalued in most modern storytelling, where your oracle character is like the crazy woman in the woods.
Right.
That nobody believes and nobody takes seriously or whatever. Because
right. Well, I think the oracle archetypal woman is commonly cast as like the crazy woman out in the woods, not because she's a crazy woman out in the woods, but because that kind of woman is scary to the patriarchy.
Right.
And they deliberately shun her.
Which is what's happening
and push
right
her
now.
out into the woods.
Except they're not shunning her. They're trying to
contain her
so
that they can use her.
They're trying to wedge her into a position that they control.
Right.
Yeah.
And the consequence of her turning them down is she's now going to be the crazy lady out on Babylon at that 5. Weird space station.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who chose the prophecy over her people.
Right.
Yeah. Who chose some nebulous whatever. Greater good over
the short term.
Which may not even be, from their perspective, may not even be the greater good.
Yeah.
And it's the most male gift. I'm giving you power. Look, you can tell me what to do. But then also everything that they do, if it's unpopular, will be her fault.
Right.
So they're also creating a scapegoat at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just this sort of maybe 10 minutes in total screen time thing that happens in the background. Because she goes back and they're like, oh, hell no, you didn't just say no to us.
Right. And we spent the last 25 minutes talking about it.
Because it's a really good part.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm saying it's a short, just casual scene.
Yeah.
But with a lot of depth.
Right.
Because we've been hashing on it for
yes.
a while.
And they don't have their triangles. Remember how she has that triangle that will appear and disappear?
Yeah.
And JMS was like, maybe because it only shows up sometimes. ... And I was like, oh, how maddening would it have been to be on the forums with him, for him to be like, well, maybe that's because there's a reason it shows up sometimes and not other times. Hee hee ha ha. I'm not going to explain anything. But she goes back to the council and they're basically like, the fuck you say you're not going to take it. And she's like, nope, sorry. I got to follow the calling of my heart. And they literally say, we've never had someone dissent. Like everyone in this council
They
always
have the
agrees.
person in the back looking through the rule book.
Yeah.
their,
what?
Their charter.
We've never had anyone say no to this before. And the best way to achieve consensus again will be to remove you. As a member of the council.
We've
and
never had division in the council. If you, I forget how they phrase it. It's like, if you don't go along with this, you may become outcast. Oh, so you've never had division in the council?
They literally say, we've never had division in the council. The best way to achieve consensus again is to remove you from the council.
Right.
To remove the dissenting voice. We don't need to bring...
We remove the division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and take that out, take you out, make you outcast, and then we will all be of one mind again. Yeah. And it reminded me of the thing that happened to me with the whole life jacket thing, which you'll have to like mine past episodes to get that whole story put together. But they told me that they have a perfect safety record. And I said, of course you do. You both define what safety is and you meet your own standard. You both define and meet your own standard. Therefore, it is an irrelevant standard.
Right. It's trivial.
It's trivial because you stated it and then you met it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, you could have said anything you wanted to in order to be able to meet it. And so she's basically facing losing everything by not taking the power that they're offering her. She could lose all of the power that she currently has, and her calling, her feeling that she's in the right place is so strong. She's willing to do it.
Right.
And that's really where she leaves it. Because after that, the next interaction she has is with the uncredited fellow. And he's the one who walks up and gives her the triluminary and is like, I have a feeling you're going to need this.
Yeah.
And we find out there's 3 of them, which there's 3 is big in the Minbari culture. So it makes sense that the triluminary, which is triangle shaped, that there's 3 of them. And she's like, oh, great, thanks. And she dips off with it. And that's the end of her whole thing.
So is this the Triforce of Wisdom?
It may be. If anybody has the Triforce of Wisdom, it is Delenn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if anybody has the Triforce of Courage, it's Sinclair. And if anybody has the Triforce of Power, it would be Morden, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
We haven't, Morden isn't back. It's not Morden time yet. We've only met him once. He's coming back. I can feel it in my jellies. Anyway, that's where it ends, really. It's just her. Like, now we've gotten more context for the Grey Council. We've seen more of the Grey Council. We've seen some of what the Minbari thing is in general. And Delenn got this really cool thing where they're like, humans? Really? You're going to fucking choose humans? They're so gross. They're messy bitches. And she's like, messy bitches is their superpower.
Right. They're more noble than they know.
I doubt the prophecy. It may have referred to others.
It did not.
How do you know? What is it that makes the humans so special? What is it that draws you to them?
They fight. They argue. They are ruled by passions and fears.
Yes. And that is their strength. They do not see conformity. They do not surrender. Out of their differences comes symmetry, their unique capacity to fight against impossible odds. Hurt them, and they only come back stronger. The passions we deplore have taken them to their place in the stars and will propel them to a great destiny. Their only weakness is that they do not recognize their own greatness. They forget that they have come to this place through 2 million years of evolution, struggle, and blood, and that they are better than they think, and nobler than they know. They carry within them the capacity to walk among the stars like giants. They are the future, and we have much to learn from them.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, that was hard to listen to. After what happened this week in the U.S. It was really hard to hear someone say humanity is worth it. And their quest for nonconformity, their ability to come back stronger when they've been kicked down, their ability to regroup and to use that as power for their next step. And the fact that their diversity is so much their strength that they will one day walk among the stars as giants was hard to believe.
Yeah.
It would have been easier to believe probably when I first watched this. And then to hear it this time, I was like, I don't know. I don't know if we survived this. I think if we do, yeah, absolutely. Is diversity humanity's strength? Fucking yes, absolutely, 100%. And then she also said they're incapable of seeing their own greatness, which if you want to frame that as we're incapable of realizing that the diversity that is so vilified is actually what makes us heroic, then correct. Yes, I definitely am seeing that in the wider world at this moment. And I just feel like this is a treatise on humanity that I need to sit with for a little while and kind of, how do I feel about it? I mean, do I feel parts of it are true? Absolutely. Do I wish we lived up to this vision of what humanity could be? Yeah, I really do.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, that's her whole storyline. And then meanwhile, while this, like, I don't know, I read Women Who Run with the Wolves, and they talk a lot about sort of the archetypal female and being in touch with your own intuition and how that is a thing that is undervalued in culture, but is actually like the source of a lot of feminine strength, is your ability to be in touch with yourself and with the people around you and with the community as a whole and make decisions based on the intuition of, you know, the feeling of the world around you and your intellect. And the marriage of those two things is what makes women strong and powerful and terrifying.
Yeah.
And terrifying to people who are so reactionary only to the events happening around them, where a woman will ask why. Or a feminine energy encourages you to ask deeper questions and to act with empathy. And that's happening in the background. Meanwhile, there's time travel shit going on because Alpha 7 is returned and they're like, hey, buddy, hey. Why is he not answering? Can you scan that thing? And they scan it and they're like, it's perfectly fine, except, oh shit, there's no life signs. There's no life signs.
Yeah.
And Ivanova goes, Commander, he's dead. He's dead, Jim.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. And then we cut to like the ready room with Garibaldi, which means we cut Dr. Franklin out entirely. He doesn't even, he's just like everything.
Yeah, we don't even see him.
And they're like, yeah, so he died of old age. He died of old age because they're like, everything points to natural causes.
The natural causes were old age.
And Ivanova goes, he just turned 30. He had at least 9 years left.
Until he was end of his career age, like Sinclair.
Death was imminent. They're like, I know he looked fine outside, but his insides were like those of a 90-year-old man. Actually, he says 3 times his age, and the subtitles said 90 years old. Because fuck you, subtitles. Don't fucking paraphrase. Write down what he said. And they're like, okay, but how did he get back here? And he's like, he turned on autopilot. He was like, go home. It like in a drone when you can hit the home button.
Yep.
He hit the home button. And so they send out a team to investigate. They're like, send out a team, investigate this thing. I want it pulled apart. I want to know what happened. I want to know if there was some kind of a hazard. I got to know what we're facing. Meanwhile, route everybody around Sector 14. Nobody go there. And when they go over the Alpha 7's fighter, this is when they find the little belt buckle where he like aggressively carved B5. I'm not over it. This is so deep in there. It had to be visible on a CRT TV. I know we say that all the time, but it's not incorrect. It had to be when you're looking at them, look at screens.
And they may not like the another place he could have done it is like
his hand,
gouge it into his hand. Yeah. But then, do you want to show like a bloody wound on TV?
They're like, look at this, and they hand his hand, just his hand, to Sinclair. He's like, what the fuck do I? Oh, Dr. Franklin gave that to me. He said it was of importance. Where's the rest of his body? God, Michael, you don't want to know. You don't want to know.
Dr. Franklin's working on his recipe book.
And this is just before. It could have been before, like before something happened. It's not necessarily
right?
B4.
Or it could be like a grid coordinate system.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be terrible. You divide space up into like B4, B5, B6. B4 is 17 light years away from C4. It's a huge space. It's so deep. It is so deep. I was about to say, if you want a good image of what CRT TVs were like, look at them when they're looking at screens. Because most of the time, those gently curved screens that they're looking at are CRT TVs.
Yeah.
So when they're like zooming in on the Star Fury, and it's like zooming in 0%, and it like fills all the way up to 100%, and you're like, that didn't clear shit up. It's still real grainy. That's a CRT TV.
Yeah.
Or in the episode Voice in the Wilderness, when they enhance the crater, and you're like, what am I looking at? I don't know what I'm looking at, because it's just like a black line. CRT TV. So that's why you needed it real big and bold to be able to be visible. And they're like, I don't know why he did this. I also don't know why he did this. He could have typed it out. We covered it. It's a well-worn path. I'm not going to walk down it again. And they're like, wait a minute. Didn't Babylon 4 vanish 4 years ago? Bum, bum, bum. There's no reason to believe this is Babylon 4. And then Sinclair goes, I mean, nor should you, unless you had one other piece of information. And that is the most obvious piece of information anyone could have gleaned at any point ever, which was just to look up what was in that section of Sector 14. I found the coordinates.
Historically, what was near these coordinates?
Which means they sent that fighter before looking it up. They found the coordinates. Well, maybe they didn't have the exact coordinates until the guy came back, because it's just a non-specific tachyon energy is happening.
Right.
So maybe he had to track it down, and then when he came back, he brought the coordinates, because that makes more sense.
He could have gotten more accurate coordinates.
That makes more sense.
Once he was close by. Yeah.
Because otherwise, Ivanova could have just been like, beep, boop, boop. Oh, that's the exact spot where Babylon 4 disappeared. Maybe don't go.
Call down to the planet below and talk to Mr. D. I don't think there is a planet below.
Oh. Yeah, but see, we can't. So here's the 1-2 punch of that. Because that's Deus Ex Machina. If we could just be like, Draw, hey, bro, can you check out that sector of space? It undermines literally everything else that happens, period, ever.
It's like having a cell phone in a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I don't have any signal. Always. Or they're set in the 80s. Yeah, because otherwise the whole narrative falls apart.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, wait a minute, you mean what happened before where Babylon 4 just fucking disappeared? That might be happening again? I love how incredulous they all are when they know, canonically, everyone knows Babylon 4 up and disappeared.
Right, but they don't know how.
Right, but they're like, oh, tachyon
No
emissions.
one was watching it.
They're like, oh no, that couldn't be where Babylon 4 is. We don't know what Babylon 4. You should be open to any possibility.
It's just completely out of their mind.
Yeah.
No, Babylon 4 has not showed up again since then.
Yeah. I don't know. Sinclair's like, well, there is another possibility. What if? We don't know what he was going to say, because beep, beep, motherfucker. It's a little communicator beep. And it's our tech. Tech one's like, Sinclair? Commander Sinclair. He says Sinclair. And she goes, we're picking up a distress signal in Sector 14. And he's like, God damn it. I said, nobody go there. Don't go there. And she's like, I mean, yeah, but also this is from Babylon 4. And Sinclair's just like, we're on our way. So they head back up to the CNC. And before they even open it, this poor guy's like, please help me, please. And they're like, wait, let's make sure it's real. And so they pull up the broadcast ID, every single Earth Force communication has a sub-channel that broadcasts an Earth Force ID, which Sinclair explains to Security Officer Garibaldi. Should Security Officer Garibaldi not be the one who knows that you can verify actual orders?
This is where I come in with my standard discussion about PKI, public key infrastructure.
Yes, okay.
Where every actor in the system has their own private key, which is effectively a really, really, really big number that's hard to figure out factors of.
Right.
And then I can do some fancy cryptography stuff, and I can generate a a string of characters that's a signature for the message. But then you can use part of my big private key thing. I can generate cryptographic, like fancy math stuff, give you the public key that's part of my big private key. And you can verify that the signature was generated by my private key without having access to my private key.
Yeah.
And you can end up doing two-way, I guess you can do one-way encrypted communication where only I can decrypt it. Anyway, the signal from Babylon 4 would have been encrypted or signed. It would have had a cryptographic signature using Babylon 4's private key, which nobody would have stored anywhere except on Babylon 4. But everybody would have a copy of the public key for Babylon 4 and any other ship, whatever. So then they can verify that, oh yeah, I can actually verify that the signature was generated by Babylon 4's private key.
This is a thing that happens in real life, is what you're saying. Like there's a precedent for this. Yeah.
And I've been thinking about this the last few years as deepfakes get more popular.
Yeah.
So there's a thing that's been around for a while. There's PGP and then there's like the open source version, GPG, and they work basically the same. You see it on like secure email things. It's like I was applying to go into the Navy.
Yeah.
And I had some secure email portal to sign into to communicate with people. And all the emails would have a signature block at the bottom. And so that way you could verify the content of the email against the signature and say this exact content, like every single character in the sequence, has not been tampered with because that content was fed into the cryptography algorithms with the other person's private key to generate a signature. And if anybody changed any one character or just added a line or removed a line or anything, now when I go to try to verify the signature based on this content, which is like the entire payload of the email, it'll say this is not valid.
Yeah.
And so I can verify that it's been tampered with. And you can do this in like Microsoft Outlook. You can add a private key so that your emails will have a signature at the bottom. And then anybody that receives your emails can verify that it was the content was signed by you.
Yeah.
And so since deepfakes have come on the scene, I'm thinking at some point there's going to be like a standard where, I don't know, publishers, like news organizations, whatever, anybody that's releasing content,
yeah,
will start to have
or
like
should
a
have a form of
should
verification.
But it needs to be like mainstreamed.
Yeah.
And at some point we're going to have this kind of verification, this kind of cryptographic signatures on like every video, every picture, every text release, where I can say, oh, like here's this video that somebody sent me and it looks like it's from, I don't know, like CNN or something. I can actually verify like from the signature in the file that, okay, this was actually signed by the CNN publisher.
Gotcha.
Rather than, and it has not been modified.
Yeah.
From that signature.
Yeah, that would be extremely useful. Yeah, especially now that AI video is cheap and anybody can make it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is like a thing. My only real complaint is he explains it to the security officer. If he wanted to explain it to anybody, it should have been the young lieutenant commander who wasn't there for the war.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he explains it to us. He's explaining it to us.
Right.
But he's using Garibaldi as a means to explain it to
Normally
us.
you have a more obvious proxy character.
Yeah.
Well,
it's really just these three people.
Yeah.
But really, he should just explain it. But he doesn't. He just tells Ivanova to look it up. Ivanova looks it up. And then he's like, oh, by the way, Garibaldi, this is what she's looking up. And they match. The signals match. So this is indeed Babylon 4. And Garibaldi goes, yeah, okay, well, that's just fucking nuts. Because this is nuts. The station just doesn't disappear and reappear like the Flying Dutchman. And they're like, well, okay, one way to find out. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Turn it on. Turn that shit on.
Ivanova, you, me. Go.
So they pull.
Oh, but then the actual signal
They
comes
pull
in.
the
Yeah.
guy up. The guy's like, hey, repeat, Earth Station Babylon 4 requesting help. We need assistance. And then they call back and they're like, hey, this is Commander Jeffrey Sinclair.
Earth Force Commander. Sinclair.
Earth Force Commander Sinclair. He actually looks over like, whoop, whoop. Like, uh-oh, I almost said the thing.
Yeah, we may not want to tell them.
The guy goes, oh, thank God. We have to abandon ship. We're caught in some kind of flux. Ship's damaged. Power's at 30%. Please come help us. And we have to evacuate before it's too late. Do they not have any onboard shuttles? How'd they all get there?
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, it's fine. He goes, what's your crew complement? And he's like, I don't know, skeleton crew. Maybe 1,200 to 1,300 people? That's a skeleton crew?
Right?
Oh, we just bare minimum. Literally one per light switch. So 1,200, 1,300, somewhere in that. I don't know. What would the crew complement be of a full one?
They said Babylon 4 was the largest.
Would you like to know why?
So
Would-
how...
Would you like to know why? I know why. You want to know why it's the
Sure,
biggest?
go
You know
for
why
it.
It's biggest? Okay. So Babylon 1, 2, 3, and 4 were all constructed in the exact same spot.
Okay.
And so they were able to use the materials from
Oh.
1 to build 2, 2 to build 3, and then 1, 2, and 3 to build 4. They had a wealth of materials left over. They
Okay.
decided to make Babylon 4 the biggest.
Okay.
And then when it fucking up and disappeared, they didn't have anything to use for Babylon 5. So Babylon 5 was like crowdfunded.
Yeah.
They used money. That's why the Centauri are like, we contributed. The Minbari are like, we contributed. Because everybody pitched in for Babylon 5. So they made it smaller because they had less money and less materials to work with. And they moved it because
So,
clearly it's not
A
working.
skeleton crew of 1,200 people
Yeah.
for a station that could be like twice the size of Babylon 5.
It's really big. Yeah.
Really big.
Yeah, it's really big.
Yeah,
And
and
then-
it has a whole section that looks more spherical,
Mm-hmm.
whereas Babylon 5 is
Like a tube.
very cylinder
Yeah.
shaped. And so it's not, and Babylon 5 is 5 miles long.
Yeah.
So
How long is Babylon 4?
Babylon 4 is bigger, probably lengthwise, but it's also like spherical. So
Yeah.
the volume goes up by an extra factor.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the guy starts going, oh my God, it's starting again. Let's go. And then he disappears. And they're like, oh, he gone. Signal's too weak. We lost it. And they're like, oh my God, but the date stamp on the message is 4 years old. And Garibaldi just goes, are we believing this? Are we on board with this? We're all believing this is happening right now? Like, it fucking can't be Babylon 4. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, I mean, actually, they don't even acknowledge his doubt.
Right.
Sinclair just looks at Ivanova and goes, how many can we evacuate? And she says, about 250 using shuttles in shifts, 5 trips, 90-minute turnaround, 10 hours total. Explain that to me.
Right. So she says
Can you
90-minute
explain
turnaround, but it takes Garibaldi and Sinclair
3
2.5 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours, 2 hours and 57 minutes.
So is the 90 minutes like pilot rotations? That's what when I was trying to rationalize this while
Unless
we were
it's
watching it.
halfway there and then halfway back. 90 minutes there, 90 minutes back. And then, so one group travels all 3 hours and then one group leaves 90 minutes later because then they can pick
Right.
people up, travel 90 minutes back, drop them at
Just
the
stagger
90-minute
them.
people.
And then that's like 45 minutes at the station or something to
To load and whatever.
to fill up one ship, and then that's the loading time. So then Maybe 90 minutes is the loading time.
Well, because if you do the 90 minutes,
then the
so
next
say
ship
you
arrives
have,
after the first one's loaded and off.
maybe they mean 5 trips as in like, I don't fucking know. I've watched this episode. I can't even tell you how many times. And every time she says that, it's just like,
I know she rattles it off very confidently. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, she probably has in her head a whole lot of logistics for how to move the maximum number of things with a given number of ships and travel time and all that. So, like, Ivanova, like, as a character, rattles these numbers off extremely confidently.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I wonder if
I can see you have like 5 shuttles.
Like, where's the error? Is it in Ivanova's numbers or is it in Garibaldi's time estimate?
Because I can see you have like 5 shuttles. You load, each one is going to take you like 20 minutes to load. So that's roughly 90 minutes-ish, right? So you load the first one, you send it off, load the next one. And so you stagger send shuttles 90 minutes after the first group. So by the time the first group arrives and transfers, or even just keeps going and the other one comes, you will end up having 1 shuttle every 20-ish minutes. But like, how many shuttles do they have? It's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But also, it doesn't make any sense. Maybe it makes sense to somebody.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me because I don't know what you mean by turnaround. I don't know what you mean by shifts. I don't know how many shuttles you have. Is it 250 shuttles? Is it 250 people per shuttle?
I think it's 250 people she said if we use half of our shuttles, he said, what's the maximum number of people we could move at a time? And she said 250 using half of our shuttles.
Using shuttles and shifts is what she says.
I thought she said half.
She may have said half, but of course my subtitles are paraphrased.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know. In the end, they do it, and it takes way less than 10 hours because they are not on there.
They're on the first
hours.
shift out.
They arrive first, they leave last, and they are not on there for 10 hours.
No.
But he's like, I want a fighter escort ready to launch. And then they leave. We're going to Babylon 4. And then we come back. Well, actually, we come back, and he's like, listen, I'm not going to lie to you guys, because he's like walking up and down the line of pilots. He's like, I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like, a guy already died, and you guys might die. But, like, if you want to leave, you can go.
No questions asked.
No questions asked. And no one moves. So he's like, cool, settle up. We hit space in 20 minutes. Let's go, Mike. He says to Garibaldi, who he's never called Mike before ever in his life. And we actually use Zeta.
It kind of rings a bell, Sinclair calling Garibaldi Mike. And I think it was one other time. And it
feels like a joke.
Like out drinking or something.
Come on, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then Fighter Squadron Zeta gets to go. I thought Zeta never got used, but I guess we never get to see them get used. And so they all leave and they coordinate homing beacons, whatever this means. It doesn't matter. What matters is they travel 3 hours to Babylon 4. And he's like, if you don't hear from us in 8 hours, notify Earth Central, but don't send anybody else. Don't keep throwing dudes in the meat grinder.
Right.
Don't keep doing it. And Ivanova's like, cool, good luck. And then their ETA is 2 hours and 57 minutes. And then we come back, like, I guess 54 minutes later, because Sinclair goes, what's the time left? And Garibaldi goes 2 hours and 3 minutes. He's like, oh, okay, great. And you get the impression they've just been sitting there in silence for 50-some minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Garibaldi's like, this is the part I hate most, just the waiting. But hey, can I ask you a question? And Sinclair's like, sure. And he goes, when you pull on your pants, do you fasten and then zip, or do you zip and then fasten? And Sinclair's like, what? Right now? What kind of question is that? And he's like, well, we got 2 hours. This is just a question. He goes, not every question has to be the end of the world. Sometimes it's just a stupid question. He's like, I mean, okay, but I'm not going to answer that. Like, it feels really private or personal. Like, I don't know.
It's not appropriate in this professional setting.
Right. And he's like, cool, okay, whatever. Like, I think about this kind of stuff a lot. And he's like, you think about this kind of stuff a lot? And he's like, yeah, like I was putting my pants on this morning and for a minute, I couldn't remember if I zipped and then fastened or fastened and then zipped. And then I got to thinking, does everybody do it the same way? Is it a left hand, right hand thing? Like, it's just a question.
Is one way better than the other?
That I ponder, it's the kind of stuff I think about. And Sinclair's like, okay, fasten and then zip. And he's like, fasten and then zip. I knew it. This is the best scene. Like, I just love this scene because we get so much high stakes stuff with them where they're all just, you know, the world is ending, telepaths are imploding, whatever. And then every once in a while they're like, hey, fasten and then zip. These are the character building moments. These are the required character moments that you don't get. I shared a thing and I stand by it, which is that people today don't watch filler episodes and it shows.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is the kind of stuff that builds a character, that makes me fall in love with a character.
Yeah.
I haven't been in love with Garibaldi for a bit here because he's been doing some pretty questionable stuff. And then when he's like, yeah, I think about it all the time. I do the same thing. Sometimes I pick up a pencil with my left hand and I start writing because I actually forget that I'm right-handed for a minute. And I do okay, which is the funny part, until I'm like, oh shit, that's not
Wrong
my
way.
hand. And then all of a sudden my hand's like, I can't do it. And I have to like switch to the other hand, where previously it was like, I'm fine, we're fine. Just don't think about it. And this is great. And is it filler? Yeah, it's a moment of filler. Of course it's a moment of filler. It's important filler.
Mm-hmm.
And when you only have like 8 episodes per season and you've got to really nail every single fucking moment of it, you don't get these moments.
Right.
That's maybe my one major complaint with Murderbot is I get it. The way they structured it is fine. The half-hour comedy is like perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It sets the tone. We're getting 10 episodes of it, so we're actually getting like 300 minutes of content or whatever.
Yeah.
And great. Okay. Could the show have benefited from 5 minutes more per episode of filler?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it could have, because we could have had some really sweet character moments that you got to include because you're not trying to just pack all the plot into 27 minutes or something.
Right.
So yes, is this a dumb little moment? It's a great fucking dumb little moment, because then he's like, can we talk socks? And Sinclair goes, no. He's like, but I have a question. He goes, I'm not having this conversation.
Bruh.
And he gives him this look like, don't even with me right now. I don't want to talk about socks. Matthew, do you fasten and then zip, or zip and then fasten?
Oh, fasten zip.
Elastic pants. Elastic pants.
You have to fasten first. Otherwise,
The zip is hard.
the zip doesn't actually pull the top all the way together.
Right. And then sometimes things get caught in the zip, you know, if it's got too much play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You got to get the zip where you want it. But that's why I just go with elastic
Yeah,
pants.
it's like with a suitcase or something. You have to hold the zipper aligned for
Yeah.
it to actually go.
Exactly. So then after 3 hours, they finally get to Sector 14. I wonder what other questions Garibaldi went
Yeah.
with.
What else happened in that 2 hours?
How about them Cubs? You were playing Death Stranding 2 because it just came out. Matt's very excited about it. But he was playing Death Stranding 2, and there's a part where you walk into the cockpit of the ship and they open this panel in the floor. And all I could think was from Dark Star when they have the dead captain that they've frozen.
Yeah.
And they open it and he's just like, tell me, how are the Cubs? How are the Cubs doing? I was like, if he asks about the Cubs, I'm out of here. He did not. It was a wasted opportunity, to be honest. And they're like, wow, we're really picking up tachyon emissions. Is there anything on the screen? And they're like, not yet. And they're like, oh my God, it's a really big object. This thing pops up and they're like, what is that? Is that Babylon 5? I want Sinclair to be like, do you think it's happening now, Garibaldi? Are we believing it now? Is this enough proof for you?
How about now?
How about now? Is this enough? Better with one or better with two? Better with one? And he's like, signal the others, we're going in. So they end up going through like a whoop distortion field. And once they're inside the tachyon disruption. And that's when stuff starts going crazy. And they end up landing, blah, blah, blah. Immediately, as soon as they get on, I like the guy that's like, I'm going to stop you. And starts shooting at them. Like, what was everyone else doing? That this guy was just hanging out in what looked like it was supposed to be the Zocalo.
Panicking. They're all panicking.
Anyway, the lighting on this is weird. The filming is a little jarring. There's a lot of cuts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's quite dark, smoky. That's all on purpose. It was intended to feel like frantic and otherworldly and a little bit creepy. And I feel like they did a really good job with it. Yeah.
Yeah, this feels like a space station environment that
is in chaos.
Not even in chaos, but it's not lived in.
Yeah. And it's a little chaotic.
Yeah.
This guy's trying to shoot them. and they end up pinned behind this box. And I love this moment because Garibaldi's like, do you want to go? And Sinclair's like, oh, no, it's your turn. You go. And he gets this eye roll. Garibaldi goes, ugh, and does this eye roll like, of course it's my turn. Of course. What, I'm like the fucking security officer or whatever. And I just would like to harken back to the point that Garibaldi gave Sinclair an actual lecture about how he is not to keep putting his life on the line.
Right.
Because sometimes people can't find a reason to live, so they're just trying to find a reason to die.
Yeah.
So maybe don't eye roll at him. He's trying to do what you asked him to do. Let you take the fall this time.
Yeah.
And Garibaldi somehow crawls all the way around and then comes from like 20 feet from behind this guy. This poor guy just
the
wants
Garibaldi
off the station.
special.
I don't know why we included this. They could have just walked on.
Yeah.
You could have had somebody walk through screaming or something.
Yeah, like somebody run at them like, thank God you're here, take me with you.
Yeah.
Right? But somebody who just comes out.
Yeah,
guns
coming out
blazing.
shooting was kind of a weird.
Yeah.
It's fine. Because Garibaldi subdues him. And then immediately Major Lewis Krantz, who's the guy in charge of Babylon 5, pops out and he's like, oh, thank Jesus, you guys are here. You made it through the test, which was this guy. Like,
yeah.
You didn't get shot by the gatekeeper? I don't know. It's weird. And he's like, I was literally only put here to supervise the end of construction. He's not even in charge of Babylon 5. He's just like the foreman.
Right. He's the acting commander of the station.
To supervise the remainder of construction.
Right.
Yeah. And Sinclair's like, hey, sup? I'm Sinclair. This is my security chief, Garibaldi. And he's like, oh, great. Where's your ship passing through here? And he's like, no, actually, I'm the commander of Babylon 5. Babylon 5. And the guy's
take
like,
your time.
Guy's like, Babylon 5. He goes, Babylon 5, you say? Literally, and it sounds like he should go, you cats.
What year is it?
That's literally, well, the Garibaldi goes, it's 2258. Like incredulously, not compassionate at all. Just, yeah, it's 2258. What the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, I've been in time flux for 4 years. Sorry, is that inconveniencing you? Did you have a hard time being empathetic about that because I didn't know what fucking time it was?
Come on, Garibaldi.
Bruh. Keep saying all week.
Bruh.
That's bruh in here, everywhere, all over the week. All week. Bruh. He's
just
like, we gotta
all
hurry.
The kids were around.
He's like, we gotta hurry. We gotta get off the station before. And then we have a flash forward. This is funny. What is happening in this? I get it. But they flash forward to, this is Sinclair driving this one because he doesn't know what's happening. Garibaldi, this is future Garibaldi because he's in the story. And Sinclair doesn't. Sinclair's like, I'm sorry, what the fuck is happening here? And Garibaldi's like, Commander, they're everywhere. I've rigged the fusion reactors
They're
to
both
blow.
in like black battle armor.
This is the moment I was born for. And I like it, but I love Jerry Doyle's delivery best because he's a noir detective and he can't not be a noir detective. So he's supposed to be like, this is the moment I was born for. But instead he goes, this is the moment I was born for. And it just reminds me of, there's a comedian, I don't know how well he's aged, but he has this one skit where he's talking about Dora the Explorer and how the only person that thinks Dora and Explorer rhyme is JFK. This is Dora the Explorer. That's how I feel every time he says. He's like, go.
I've listened to some like vocal coach reactions to songs and things, and they talk about when you want to project, you have to modify the vowel.
Yeah.
And so that's probably what Jerry Doyle ended up doing, is he was just projecting his voice, and he ended up like pronouncing it slightly differently, which comes off as very like noir detective.
Well, we saw that in Voice in the Wilderness Withdrawal, where he'd be like, evolution, and he did his like stage voice.
Yeah.
And so, you're not expecting a stage voice from a TV actor. So when Jerry Doyle says, this is the moment I was born for, I feel like the delivery for that could have been softer, where it's like, go, Jeff, this is the moment I was born for. But instead it comes off as like, I got a really big gun and I really want to shoot my really big gun. And Sinclair's literally like, wait, what's happening? Wait.
He gets carried away by the crowd.
He gets carried away by the crowd. And then this is when Garibaldi turns and he's like, take some. Get it, you son of a bitch. It's the most like, I got a really big gun.
Yeah.
And I just want to shoot it. And then we come back to and that's the part that's ad-libbed at the very end there.
Mm-hmm.
We come back to the present and they're all like, I'm sorry, what the fuck was that? And this is when Major Lewis Krantz is like, I don't know, it was different for everybody. Honestly, please don't tell me. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. He's like, forward, backward, whatever. We're all, he goes, we've become unstuck in time. He also feels like he had the same vocal acting coach as Jerry Doyle, because he could have been like, we've become unstuck in time. And instead he's like, we've become unstuck in time. And the weirdest part about this whole thing is he never moves his hands.
Yes, his hands are
His hands are like rigid by his side the entire time. Matt was like, he also got his, you know what else is stuck? His hands are stuck to his side. I was like, I know. He doesn't have them in his pocket or anything. They're literally just by his side.
Right, like there's no body language going on.
Yeah. He's like, that's why we got to get out of here, because shit's gone sideways. It's crazy. It's just hinky right now. And so they've started evacuating everybody. And the commander guy, whose name I've already forgotten.
Crayons?
Mm-hmm. Crayons is like...
Crayons.
Okay,
Let's call him Crayons.
I don't want to call him Crayons, because then we're going to get a YouTube comment that's like, you guys don't know. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Correct. You took you this long to figure it out. But this is when we meet Zathras, because he's like, do you know what's happening here? What's happening? Like, do you have any clue about what might be going on? And Kranz is like, oh, let me show you the fucker that we caught. You're going to love this one. And so they go into the room, and Zathras
you think
is just
I have no clue what's going on? Wait till you talk to this guy.
No. Zathras knows exactly what's going on. But Zathras is like that guy that only knows his part and doesn't know anybody else's part, and is 100 and wholly committed to his part.
Mm-hmm.
Unto death, Zathras will do his job. Why? No fucking idea. But he knows he needs to do it, and he will do it.
Yep.
And Sinclair walks in, and Zathras looks up, and he's like, not the one.
Not the one.
Not the one. Not the one. And Sinclair's like, not the what? He goes, nah, not the one. Can't talk, won't talk, not the one. This guy does such a good job. I'm so sad this guy didn't go on to do anything else, because he just, every time I see Zathras, I'm like, ah. And when people are watching this and they'll text me and they'll be like, I'm on this episode, and I'm like, yeah, Zathras. I love Zathras so much. And Zathras is literally like, I mean, I'm just doing what I'm told. I don't know. Like, what do you want from me? What am I supposed to give you? What information do you want? I'll tell you. Everything they ask him, he's like, okay. And he tells them exactly what they ask. And they're all like, oh, you're lying. And he's like, but I'm not, though. Like, I'm not. Because they're literally like, what are you doing here? What are you trying to do? Like, what's happening with Babylon 4? And he's like, oh, if I tell you, will you let me go? I'll tell you anyway. It's fine.
Well, if you tell us, I'll think about not wringing your neck.
Oh, they promise him nothing. He goes, will you let me go?
Garibaldi says, if you tell us, I won't kill you.
Yeah, fine.
And he's like, oh, okay.
Oh, okay. And he goes, yeah, maybe we won't break your neck. And he's like, cool. Yeah, no, heard. Got it.
Zathras tells. You let Zathras go. Finish what Zathras came for.
Zathras tells, maybe we don't break Zathras' scrawny little neck.
He goes, needing, we take. He's like, this is the biggest of all the Babylon stations. I will do the Sinclair translation, because Sinclair, at the end of every Zathras tirade, Sinclair translates.
Yeah.
So he goes on this long thing. He's like, great war, terrible war, much killing, everyone fighting, a great darkness, a shadow, one might say. A shadow, one might say. It is the end of everything. Zathras warned. No one listened. And then Sinclair goes, you mean you need Babylon 4 as a base of operation in war? And he's like, got it. You got it. Yeah, that's it. To help save the galaxy. He goes, anyway, that's what they tell me. But he doesn't say who they is.
Right.
I am not actually sure we ever know who points Zathras in the direction that Zathras is going.
Right.
Unless my headcanon for Zathras is that he is just a time being. That Zathras has no beginning and has no ending.
Oh, like let's set this aside for the time being. Is the time being in the room with us?
No, like an entity that exists to the right of the time stream.
Yeah.
That Zathras does not actually exist in a time And that's why he doesn't know when he's from. Because they're like, if you're not from here, when are you from? And he's like, I mean, on my planet, it's the year 4458. Like, okay, we don't know what planet you're from. We don't know how your calendar relates to our calendar. And he goes, yeah, sorry, Zathras doesn't do math.
So they tell me. Must have. Or it is the end of all. The One leads us. The One tells us to go. We go. We live for the One. We would die for the One. We pull this place through time to save us all.
Pull through time to where? The past? The future? Where you come from, what year is it?
By my world time, it is year 4993.
But what is that in Earth time? If we don't know where you come from, the date doesn't do us any good.
Much apologizing. Mathematics not Zathras' skill.
That's all he says.
Calendars are all made up anyway.
He's like, I don't know, whatever. The One leads us. The One tells us to go. We go. We live for the One. We would die for the One, which is what we say at the end of every single episode. So my headcanon for Zathras is that there's one Zathras. And every time you see Zathras, it's the same Zathras.
Yeah.
But that Zathras does not live linearly through time.
Right.
That it is, I'm not sure if it is able to he is able to pick and choose the time that he interacts with.
Mm-hmm.
Like he exists in all moments, but he doesn't necessarily become present in any time unless he chooses to. And so he would be able to
summoned.
So he, in like anytime an instance of Zathras jumps into the time stream, he becomes his own unique instance of Zathras.
Mm-hmm.
And so they could even refer to himself.
Oh, yeah.
So
like
tells me
there's like a higher level consciousness.
Yeah.
But it's not very good at putting a mind in a body.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't necessarily...
It has to distill itself down.
It wouldn't necessarily know how to communicate linearly because it doesn't experience time linearly.
Right.
So just because you drop yourself in time doesn't mean that you suddenly know how to experience
Like the
time.
things in the wormhole by Deep Space Nine?
Yeah. Right. They exist in all time. And so it would be very difficult to experience time in the way we experience. We're traveling in one direction. We travel through time and space at 1 second per 1 second. So we are always traveling down the timeline at the speed of time.
Unless we get going real fast.
So, okay. Leaving aside the use case of light speed travel, we are traveling at 1 second per 1 second. But maybe Zathras doesn't travel through time at all. Maybe time is another dimension in which Zathras can exist.
Can navigate.
And so you could, anytime it splinters off a section of its consciousness to exist in a time, it becomes the Zathras you experience in that moment. And that is why Zathras does not care if Zathras dies.
Right.
And when Zathras says, I'm not from this time, if you take me out of it, I'll die. Mm-hmm. It's because it was only splintered off to live in this moment.
Right.
And it would explain why at the end, Zathras knows right where to stand so that the pillar will fall on him and they'll have to leave him behind. Because otherwise they were going to take him with him. He wasn't going to be there to be able to help.
Zathras is prescient?
Zathras isn't necessarily prescient so much as Zathras knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Not because it could see the future, but because the future for Zathras has already happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would explain where Zathras gets its orders and why Zathras can seemingly die and then reappear again at other times.
Yeah.
And is always seemingly aware of what has happened and what will happen.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my headcanon. I've thought a lot about Zathras.
Yeah.
I've thought probably an indecent amount about Zathras. I don't know if you can tell that or not. And the brilliance is that Zathras is so unfleshed out that he is such a nebulous character that you can assign that sort of thing to him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, okay, sure. It's as likely as anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's like, we're going to pull this station through time, which we don't know how. How? Because nobody has time travel technology.
That we know of.
That we know of.
Not that we know of.
Right. And this is when he's like, sorry, yeah, I don't know math. Zathras doesn't do math. He's like, but can I go now? Zathras, go now? And they pop in the room and they're like, Major, it's back. And they leave and they just leave the door open. So Zathras is like, bye. And he eats out the door.
The 2 guards behind him
and Zathras
are not as fast as Zathras.
Is truly terrible at running away because he gets out.
He runs directly to them.
He runs directly to them and is like holding Sinclair's shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, hey, buddy. Hey, what's going on? So they're all standing there watching this guy in a spacesuit appear. And they're like, what the fuck is that? And Zathras is like, it's the one. This is the one. And they're like, wow, is he in pain? Michael O'Hare, Sinclair, goes, is he in pain? And he's like crying. Like, if you look at his eyes, he's literally crying, looking at this figure, which makes so much sense when you get to the end and the guy takes his helmet off and it is Sinclair.
Yeah.
He's watching himself be in pain, suffer. And he ends up walking up and being like, doop, touching the guy, and it flies off.
Yeah.
Because he's the same
person.
To do that. Yeah, you can't. That's not a thing you can do. But Zathras is like, yeah, he's in pain because he fucking tried to save you guys. He stopped the time thing that was happening so that everybody could get off. And this is when Sinclair translates again. He goes, oh, he deliberately stopped Babylon 4 to let the crew get off. Because he goes, he stopped the time taking to let these escape station. And Sinclair translates for him. And
thank you, Sinclair.
He also says he's willing to sacrifice himself for others, which I don't know. I think I heard at least once in the previous episode that might be the 3rd principle of sentient life. It's ringing a bell.
It's important.
It's a bell. I think it's ringing. I don't know. Hello? Fucking ringing sound. And then as soon as Commander Sinclair flies off, Zathras runs up to the suit guy and he tosses him something and he goes, fixed. Zathras, fixed. Take, hurry. And throws it to him. And they're like, what was that? And he's like, oh, a thing. Just a thing. Keeps him safe from the time distortion. You know, I'm not going to explain it. I'm not going to explain it for actual years. Years. And then he yeets. He's like, okay, I'm going to go. And so he runs away, but he's just like yakety saxing around the little room because they catch him over on the stairs.
Yeah.
They're like, he's like going up the stairs and he like squats at the top of the stairs and they just go get him. He's terrible at running away because he knows he's not going to get away already.
Right.
And so it's just a token amount of protest. Interesting. Oh, the one thing we didn't talk about in the Delenn thing that comes up right in this moment, I just want to bring it up like, whoop, I'm just going to insert it right here, is they vote on whether or not she can turn down the leadership position.
Yep.
And they're like, all right, we voted. You're allowed to leave. What if they hadn't? Could they force her to be the leader?
Right.
Can you force a mind? Anyway.
Okay, tell me exactly what to do.
Yeah. No,
and now
we
we'll repeat it on the radio.
We want you to fix it. We want you to fix it. Okay, but I'm telling you I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't like to always bring in Atlas Shrugged, but there it is. I should throw that in there. He's like, don't panic. Everybody calm down. This is when Garibaldi is letting everybody out, and there's a rush at the gates. And he's letting 5 people through at a time. And this is terrifying. This would be terrifying. If you don't get off, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're all trying to get off, and Garibaldi's trying to keep everybody in line, and it's really hard to do. And this is when Zathras is like, yeah, the thing I gave him will help him survive the jump. And they're like, okay, but like, now you won't because you don't have it. And he's like, meh, Zathras die. Sure. Now I have none. Without this time stabilizer, what happens to you when it jumps? Zathras dies, but Zathras dies for a cause. He goes, maybe I'll stop the Great War, be a great hero. Maybe they'll build a statue. Remember Zathras. Would that be entertaining to a being that doesn't experience time linearly to see see a moment in time where like a statue of yourself gets built and then experience the length of time of that statue all at once? Like
maybe.
People remembering you and then seeing yourself become a symbol and then seeing yourself be forgotten? That'd be interesting. That'd be a good prompt. What would that be like? He's like, what if we take you with us and put you on trial? And he's like, oh, I'm not from this time. I'll legit just die. You take, Zathras die. You leave, Zathras die. Either way, bad for Zathras.
Either way, bad for Zathras.
He's like, cool, tell me how to stop this. And Zathras is like, no.
No, we're not stopping this.
No, I'm not going to tell you how to stop this. Didn't I just explain to you that we need this for the Great War? Like, do you need me to rewind? I'm sorry. Can you not remember what I said 5 minutes ago? He's like, well, you're willing to die to steal a space station? And Zathras is like, I mean, I don't want to die. But if it's the only way, then sure, I'll die. I'll die for a cause. I'll die for a reason. The third principle of sentient life is
Zathras is the epitome.
yes, he's the epitome of sentience. Maybe
Yes.
he is sentience itself. And he's like, it is life. Sometimes you die. I don't know. And this is when they're like, oh shit, tachyon emissions are up. Wherever it's going, it's about to fucking go. And Zathras is like, correct. Correct. And then we get another flashback. And this is the flashback where Michael is talking to Lise. And he's like, Lise? And she goes, I don't understand you, Michael. We've got a good life here. You've met this Sinclair character twice. And now you're off to Babylon 5. Hang on a minute. I thought they were friends. We've been friends a long time, Jeff. That's why you picked me for this job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Someone surmise before you get into yours. Contemporary supposition was they knew each other professionally and they had been corresponding digitally, but had only met in person a couple of times.
Yeah.
So they were a beloved colleague. And he didn't necessarily know all of Garibaldi's troubles, which is why Garibaldi can still explain stuff to him.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew he was good at his job, and he knew he kept burning through positions specifically because he refused to compromise.
Yeah.
And was like, that's the guy I want. What were you going to say?
They have actually only interacted twice. But Lise doesn't understand how some male friendships work.
Your dude bros immediately?
Yeah, like the whole like bonding through struggle thing. Like you only need like that short amount of time. And it's like, okay, no, we're bonded. Like
we're brothers.
This is a thing
we
now.
We are brothers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And Garibaldi was convinced, this Sinclair guy, wherever he needs me to be, I will be.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel the brotherhood.
Yeah.
The connection. And she goes, don't I mean anything to you? And he's like, Lise? My God, well, what are you doing here? Because he just popped in.
Right.
And she goes, I don't know. I'm starting to wonder that myself. You're like, oh, wow, he really fumbled that one.
It reminds me of the time we were at the campground with your brother, and we were going around. It was going to rain the next day. And so we drove around to all the empty campsites to look for wood.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you leave wood at your campsite for the next person. And so we were gathering up all the loose wood we could find. And this lady came, I don't know, over from across the road. And she's like, what are you doing? That's for the next people. And your brother was like, yeah, we are the next people. And we need firewood.
Yeah.
And she kept going on. And we weren't responding. And he turns around and he says, why are you talking to me right now?
Because why are you still talking to me?
That's from Lisa's perspective. That's probably how Garibaldi's comment comes off.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Why are you even here? And she's like, you know what? I'm starting to wonder that myself.
And that's
what
a
he
good
means
question.
Is, what is happening in my life right now?
Right.
I'm not here. I'm 4 years in the future.
He's asking something completely different
Yeah.
because he has no context on this situation.
Right.
But she's embedded in the
Yeah.
in the scenario playing out, and she's struggling
Which
because
makes me
he's
wonder,
not keeping up.
Are they actually traveling in time? Because would he have said that?
Right, because because I think we mentioned this earlier in the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like,
is he stuck in some sort of loop? Where the only reason
this
he
whole
goes
Babylon 4 thing actually like change something in Garibaldi's timeline?
Right. Is he stuck in a loop where the only reason he goes is because Lise leaves him So the only reason he's on Babylon 4 is because Lise left him. But the only reason Lise left him is because in that moment when he needed to be there, he was not the same Garibaldi.
Right. He failed to communicate because future Garibaldi popped in with no context.
Right. Because she's like, taking this job will mean the last 5 years didn't happen. That's what you're hoping. But like, I'm part of those years, Michael, and I'm not going with you. So it's got to be one or the other. And he's like, what? I don't even know why I'm here right now. And he starts going, Lise. And then we come back. And they're like, Garibaldi, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm okay. I just felt like I've done that before. He goes, I want to get the hell out of this place. And so they're getting ready to take Zathras. And Sinclair's like, I mean, what if we take him and he does die like he said he would? And they're like, oh, come on. You really believe him? Like, you really believe that's what's going to happen? And he's like, I don't know, but he believes it. And Krantz is like, okay, but for the next 15 minutes, I'm in charge. This is still my command. And if I get off this station, I'm going to have to answer for what happened to it. And I want proof. I hate to break it to you, bro, but there are 1,200 other people on this station who can be like,
and
it
all
got
the Babylon
sucked through
5 pilots.
Time. Yeah. And the guy who died of old age and carved B5. Like, there's a lot of other fucking proof besides Zathras.
There's plenty of proof.
And you have no guarantee that Zathras would get up there and be like, yeah, we stole Babylon 5 by sucking it through time. He could be like, oh yeah, Babylon 4. He could just go off and do Zathras. Like, he could just have a Zathras rant. That means like absolutely nothing. And if Sinclair isn't there to translate, how will you get through it?
Yeah.
And he goes, alive or dead, he's the only proof I've got. And he's coming with us, so take him.
Which doesn't take him very long to abandon.
No. As soon as they walk out.
The whole station is shaking.
Yeah.
And then the pole falls on top of
They literally walk down the
Zathras.
stairs. A pole falls on Zathras. And he's like, well, it was a good idea while it lasted. And he just leaves.
Krantz is like, I gotta go. Getting out of here alive is more important than me getting out of here alive with proof.
Yeah, with my career, apparently, even though he has plenty of proof. He has Sinclair's testimony, too, right? And so Sinclair's like, well, we got to save him. And he's like, nah, it's too late. Just let that dog go. He's
Never
fine.
mind. I've given up on that already.
I know. I've moved on. Plans. We've moved on. He goes, we can't leave him. And he's like, oh, I think we literally can. He goes, do you think I want to? But I'm gonna. I'm really fucking gonna. And he's like, Zathras goes, go, leave me. And Sinclair's like, I can't. And he's like, no, you can. Listen to Zathras. You have a destiny. One might say, a prophecy? You must fulfill a destiny. So fuck off. Go on. I love all of Zathras' it's like the tongue clicks that he does. He does it after Garibaldi's like, how about we don't wring your scrawny little neck, and he just goes oh,
his
so
thinking
cute.
noise. Yeah,
your little threats are so cute because like I'm gonna die anyway. So what are you gonna kill me? Oh no. He's like, go for Zathras, do it for me. And Sinclair's like, I mean, we are best friends. We are men, and we bonded over the last 5 minutes. So of course I'll leave for you.
I owe it to you,
right,
brother.
And then Garibaldi pops out because everyone left. Krantz, gone. Everyone, gone. Everyone left. It's literally just Garibaldi and Sinclair. And you know, on his way out, Krantz was like, let him die, dude. I'll tell him. I'll tell him he refused to come. It's fine. Come on, let's go. And Garibaldi's like, I'm not leaving my friend. We've been together. We've been best friends for like 18 months now. I can't just, I would die for that man. So he comes out and he's like, come on, we got to go. Last shuttle's gone. Ship's all warmed up. We got to go. And Sinclair's like, wow, it's like watching a great old ship go down for the last time. Garibaldi's like, yeah, emphasis on the going down for the last time. Get the fuck on our ship. He goes, you're not the captain of the ship. You don't have to go down on it. And my favorite part is they're getting ready to leave, and this box comes flying out of the side of the screen.
There's like stuff falling out of the air. Like, okay, there's like a fan like blowing confetti like stuff around.
Yeah,
but
the camera's
then a
shaking,
whole box
lights are flickering.
Flies out at him. So there's some prop guy off screen.
You have to go yeet. And I want to know, how many times did he hit them? How many times did they fail to like leave the mark at a certain time? And he tossed the box, and it's just like got Jerry Doyle. How many times did he hit them on purpose?
What if it's Claudia Christian throwing the box?
They were like, Claudia, you want a job? And she was like, hell yeah, I want a job.
She's like, I'm not in this scene, but I'm here for the day.
It was Richard Biggs. The guy who plays Stephen Franklin.
Yeah, Franklin throwing the box.
You want to do it? Hell yeah, I want to do it. I don't have anything to do on set today because I didn't even get to hand him the report. They literally wrote me out. I mean, the argument from JMS was like, he's not in it because it would have been like 2 lines. So I just tossed it, whatever. But yeah, no, the box is the true hero of this entire scene because it like lands just as they're leaving.
Yeah.
And then a boot shows up by Zathras's face. And Zathras looks up and he's like, I knew you wouldn't leave me. I trust the one. And then we get this cool backlight scene where it's the guy in the suit and there's a backlight. And so you don't see anything that's happening behind him. You just see the suit with this like halo.
Mm-hmm.
One might call it a Christ-like halo. Just throwing that out there.
What's the symbology on that?
The symbolism. I think the word you're looking for there is symbolism. And it doesn't not make me think 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like, I know you weren't going for it, but that went there.
With the backlight.
That went there.
Yeah.
And this is when we finally see the spacesuit guy because they're like, our script supervisor gives us some lines from the computer that are like time distortion repaired, present time atmosphere is now breathable, which is interesting. It reminded me of that book you read where they make that dimension traveling spaceship and they hop from dimension to dimension and they always have to carry food from the previous one because you can't digest food from a reality that you're not from. Yeah. So the atmosphere wasn't breathable because the time distortion made it unbreathable.
Mm-hmm.
The air was too old or something. I don't know. And he's like, he takes the helmet off and it's old Sinclair.
With a big scar on his cheek.
Big scar on his cheek. And he's like, I tried to warn them, but it all happened just the way I remembered. A hand pops up and like strokes his shoulder.
In Delen's voice.
Delen goes, it's time. We have to go. They're waiting for us. And I guess somebody was like, that's not Delen, is it? And he's like, JMS was like, I mean, I don't have a lot of leeway. If it sounded like Delen, it kind of has to be Delen. And then we cut to Sinclair and Garibaldi. And Garibaldi's like, hey, so a great war. Do we think that that's a thing? And Babylon 4 being a base for somebody? And Sinclair's like, I don't know, but like, if it is, I really wish them luck because that was the whole point of the station in the first place.
Right.
So technically speaking, it's still doing its job. So if it has to disappear, at least it's disappearing for a purpose. It's on the same mission.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and head back. And this is where the Prime episode cut off.
Mm-hmm.
Just cut to credits. Which is leaving Prime in 10 days. 9 days?
Yeah.
Okay.
Season 1 is.
Season 1 is.
Didn't say anything about season 2.
It's because they know that we are all cautious getting ready to wrap up season 1. So they're like, that's fine. We'll give them time to finish and then
we don't need it on here anymore.
It's fine.
Yep.
And this is when Delen meets with her friend in the hallway. And she's like, I want to say goodbye. Or he says, I want to say goodbye until you return. And she's like, my friend, we've come too far together to lie to one another. I'm never going to see the inner chamber of that council again. And we both fucking know it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, maybe not. They do like having you as a scapegoat around, I guess. And then he hands her, we went over this at the beginning. This is the whole scene where he hands her the triluminary. He's like, they're not going to miss it. It's fine. And he's like, change is coming. Like, this is a really curious time. Shit's happening. I can literally feel it in my bones. And is it an end? Is it a new beginning? I really don't know. But we are surrounded by signs and portents, which is the season 1 title.
Yeah.
Each season 1 is treated as a chapter, and each chapter has a title. And chapter 1 is titled Signs and Portents. He goes, I feel a great darkness pressing at our backs. A shadow, one might say.
Mm.
And if you ever have need of me, like, I'm here. Like, those fools can get bent. But if you need me, brah, just you say the word.
I got your back.
I got your back. He goes, now Valen go with you and light your way. And she's like, I'm with you, my friend. Anyway, the triluminary is the thing they held up to Sinclair. I just want to say that again in case you missed that the first time around. Just go ahead and jot that down. Write that down.
Stick a pin in that.
Stick a pin in that. This is when we come back and Sinclair is talking to Ivanova. And she's like, hey, I was monitoring the situation. Is it like, it's really true? Like Babylon 4 showed up and you guys saved everybody and then it disappeared again? And he's like, yeah, I mean, what else could it possibly be? No, we made it all. It's a movie. We were filming. Yes, Ivanova, it happened. And she goes, will it show up again? And he goes, who knows? It may show up again sometime. Maybe. And if it does, I'm going and Garibaldi is staying here. That's what Ivanova says. And then he explains the Flying Dutchman and how it never got home. And that's the end of the episode. And honestly, this is one of the greatest duet episodes pretty much ever.
Across seasons. Yeah.
I can't think of anyone else that's ever done this. There's been episodes or seasons where we show one whole storyline from one point of view and then we go back and see it from the next point of view. But not in this. This was so ambitious. That's what I'm getting at. This was so ambitious for 1994. Things didn't get canceled quite the way that they get canceled now. We're like, it will be successful. Everyone's loving it. And they're like, fuck you. We took it off the air.
Right. The lead time, the momentum of a production used to be so much greater because everything had to be scheduled out so far ahead of time that once it had a time slot and it had all the production team and everything assigned, then okay, we can't really just cancel it because logistically we can't find something else to have filmed and ready to fill in that time slot. And so you didn't just cancel it, write it all off, whatever.
I mean, you could. That's how the Buffy season one's so short because it filled in mid-season. But you had to have it ready to go. Like you had to have that. That was already queued up. And you had to just be like, okay, we've canceled it. Come on, make me 7 episodes. I'll throw them in.
If it's all just streaming online, then whatever.
Yeah. It's a little different. Plus PTEN, the thing it was aired on, that was like the first season. That was the first year. It was Primetime Entertainment Network. It never existed before.
Yeah.
And so it was really bold to be like this brand new network. I mean, he had to act like it was going to happen. Like he had to proceed as if he was going to be able to produce every single season or it would not have worked.
Right.
So I get it. But it's so good. And when we come back to this episode, because we're going to come back to this episode and we're going to get all the explanation that you're wondering about right now. And it's going to be so good. And I'm so excited. But in the meantime, I think that's probably a good place to leave it.
Well, I was thinking the more common thing when you have like cross season, whatever, is where they may not do all of it all at once, but they'll have sections of a season finale and scenes of the first episode of the next season be filmed at the same time.
Yeah.
So you get that like more tighter continuity, but nothing like this is not the beginning or the last episode of a season, and it's going to connect up with another episode that's not the beginning or the last episode of a season, just in the middle.
Yeah.
Here's
I watched
this interconnected storyline.
I can't remember what it was, where at the end, the episode would end, and then the next episode would start like 10 minutes back, but from the point of view of another character. And you would get their side of the story for that last 10 minutes and then proceed on. And and that's how they connected all of the episodes. And I can't remember for the life of me what episode or what series it was. But again, that's possible now. That would not have been possible then, because these were not built for binging. So I love it. This is honestly the episode that I tell everybody about when I'm trying to sell them on Babylon 4, on Babylon 5. I'm like, there's an episode in season 1 that you will not come back to until I think season 3. And you will get that episode again, beat for beat, but from a different point of view. And it's 1994. It's 1994. Continuity was not the name of the game. And it's brilliant. And we worked in these great little character moments for Delenn and for Sinclair and Garibaldi and even for Ivanova.
Yep.
So through all of this huge macro thing that is happening, we got these great little micro moments that were so character driven. And it's just it shows you how versatile JMS's writing is.
He's got range.
He can work all of this in, and it all feels seamless. And we only really get these when JMS is writing an episode.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it plays like a TV episode, which is fine. But this plays like a novel, like a televised novel.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably a good place to leave it. We are so close to the end of season 1. We are on the downhill slope to Chrysalis. I said Gropos last time, but I pulled a Parliament of Dreams where I think that's like 8 episodes out from now.
Yeah.
It's fine. Whatever. I am who I am. So we live for the 1.
Oh, we would die for the 1.
Oh, you changed it.
I changed it because I finally, I guess it's been a while since I've heard him actually say the line.
Zathras spoke.
Yep. We would die for the 1.
Until next time, friends.
Bye.
Bye.